So beer, something that a lot of people love. For me especially, I'm very passionate about beer. A lot of my friends consider me a beer nerd. It's just a fun little quote to get us started, a couple of pictures of a lot of beers that I personally enjoy. I'll talk a bit about why beer is awesome tonight. So a bit of history about beer. It was actually first produced over 7,000 years ago in what is today Iran, a place you wouldn't think to find beer today. And was one of the first known biological engineering processes where fermentation was used. And interestingly, the Discovery Channel actually did a documentary about how beer saved the world and is actually responsible for humanity's ability to develop technology and build civilization. It's true. Something very interesting about beer, which I find very intriguing in comparison to a lot of other alcoholic beverages which we enjoy, is the amount of variety that there can be in beer. So we have three major ingredients: hops, barley, yeast, as well as water. But the amount of varieties and mixtures can make amazing different types of beers. One of them being hops, actually one of the main ingredients, actually originally started because it was used as a preservative for beers when it was being shipped through the British Empire. Yeast or magic? So yeast actually, interestingly, when beer was being produced for a long time, people didn't actually understand why beer was being made or how it came to be, and often used the same stirring sticks or pots because they didn't realize that the yeast actually stayed in there and helped ferment it. This is something interesting, the Reinheitsgebot, which is a German beer purity law back from the late 1400s, where in Germany only certain ingredients were allowed to be used in beer. It has since changed because of the discovery of what yeast actually does. People finally learned. Here are some common conceptions we have of beer today. In most bars, you'll find some of these beverages. Interestingly, most of these are actually much of the same styles of beer, not much different. Wait till the next slide. This is an interesting periodic table of beers. If you take a look, it's hard to see all of them, but there's at least 60 different styles, unique styles of beer on here. And in my mind, I think that there's a beer for everybody. So from this list, even if you say you don't like beer, I bet you there's one on there for you. Where is beer in the world today? There's actually thousands of breweries all over the world, all over the globe. Interestingly, probably almost every country you can go to, there's a brewery. 2 years ago, I actually worked overseas in Israel at a microbrewery for 6 months. Beer resurgence. So in the late 1800s, there were actually 4,000 breweries in North America alone. And by 1980, because of prohibition and a lot of other things, there were only 80. But now, because of the rise of craft brewery or small breweries, there's now thousands of them again. So Ontario craft beer, so small craft breweries production in Ontario, there's actually 25 of them, which is not bad. I encourage everyone to try something different, try something local. I think it's very important. And close by, actually in London, we have Railway City in St. Thomas and a new brewery opening up in London very shortly. So how many breweries in the world? Interestingly, there are about 10,000 breweries in the world today, but 50% of them are controlled by 4 major manufacturer brewers, which is kind of interesting. Monastery brewing. So this is actually from Belgium, which is kind of interesting. Monks, for a long time, started making this as an industry of their own to be able to suffice for themselves, to make beer, and sold it to the public so that they could live and just be humble monks. Lambic beers is another very interesting style of beer, which it uses wild yeast to ferment the beer. So it's not actually anything specifically used that a lot of breweries would normally use, but they simply just let the air come in and the brewery naturally ferment, or the beer naturally ferments. These are a couple really interesting examples that you might not think are beer, including one that is 65% alcohol content, one that is 45%, and a very nice one that actually is 29% and tastes like a brandy, which is really nice. They use very interesting freeze-dried processes to get the alcohol a lot stronger in those ones. And yes, you can age beer like wine or like whiskeys. It depends on the beer, though. It depends how it's conditioned. But I personally do it, and it really can make a very different beer depending. So if you have one beer one year and you try it again the next, it can be very different. So how to taste? So there are sort of, beer snobs out there. I might consider myself one, I guess. But we typically taste beer like this. So similar to wine, how you would look for certain things, smell, try and find the taste, the flavors, what's in it. If you're looking to try something different, the LCBO actually has 4 annual releases of very interesting different beers that you wouldn't normally be able to find. So I'd very highly encourage trying something out if you're looking to try something different. And those were some great watering holes we have here in London, which I personally enjoy going to. If you're looking for something different and something unique, because again, a lot of bars don't necessarily always have, the variety. So I highly encourage you to try something new and try something beer because I think it's great and I hope you enjoy it as well. So thank you.